it's Gwen from Hummingbird Tarot, and today I'm having another video in my RWS Versus series, and I'm taking a look at the Psychic Tarot Oracle deck against the Universal Waite Tarot deck. And this deck is actually a 65 card deck and guidebook, and it calls itself an Oracle deck, but the word tarot is also in there because it is very strongly based on the Rider-Waite-Smith version of tarot. And I wanted to go through that a little bit and show you, the similarities. It is impossible to use this deck if you're familiar with Rider-Waite-Smith and not see clear indications that this is based on Rider-Waite-Smith. So what they did with this deck is they took all the court cards out. So you have the major arcana, and then you have cards 1 through 9 of the 4 different suits. And then what's different is that they've added back in additional cards. I've pulled these out for the purposes of this comparison because these are not part of the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but there are 7 additional cards here, and they are the 7 different chakras. And I thought at first that I would pull these out and not use them, but I find them very helpful. I have used this deck. It's a fairly new deck to my collection, but I have used it quite a bit since I got it. And I find when these cards come up, it's a reminder to focus on that chakra. And when I've done readings for myself, I've noticed when the chakra card comes up, I do have to do a little bit of work on that chakra, and I feel a lot better after I do. So that'll have to be up to you if you decide to use this. I have used this just like a tarot deck, and you can use this in conjunction with another tarot deck or with oracle cards and mix up multiple decks. It does feel a lot like an oracle deck because it's about the same size. As you can see here, it's wider and longer than your standard tarot card. And then the book, well, it comes in a box like an oracle deck. It's a nice box here. Your Universal Waite deck comes in your standard tuck box and comes with your little white book, which really gives you the basics, but if you're a beginner, it's not a big help. The Psychic Tarot Oracle deck comes with a guidebook that's fairly expansive. It shows pictures of each of the cards, which I definitely like for a beginner to sit down. You could take the cards with you in this book and do some good study on that. And then he does go a little bit into the use of color and the meanings of colors and numerology in this book a little bit too. It's a nice source of reference for a beginner and anyone who wants to learn a little bit more. I did learn a few new things by reading this guidebook, which I appreciate. I'm always looking to learn new things. I enjoy being a student of tarot. And this deck is also, it's been very powerful. This deck, I feel like it stalked me for years. I've had quite a few readings myself over the years, and this is a deck that seems to be used by a lot of people that I've had readings from personally. And then I see videos that I'm touched by that I'll watch, and this deck is somehow a part of that video or mentioned. So I feel like this deck has been stalking me for a really long time, and it was time for me to just get it. And so this was a recent, I got this as a part of my birthday gift. The purpose of this video is just to show you in a comparison side by side what these cards look like compared to the Rider-Waite-Smith version of the same interpretation and image. So before we get started here, I did pull out, it's quite a few cards that end up coming out, so we could do an apples to apples comparison. I pulled out all of the court cards, and then plus, since this deck only has 1 through 9 of each of the suits, I had to pull out the 10 as well so we can look at this. Now, I'm not sure why John Holland decided not to include these cards in his deck. So we'll go ahead and go through the deck now. I don't like, one thing about this deck is that it's high gloss and it's super reflective, and I'm just not a fan of that in general, but it does also make it a little more difficult when you're filming to try not to blind you. So just apologize in advance because I probably am going to. Oh, I meant to mention that's what the back of the deck looks like. Each of those. And we're just going to go ahead and flip through these. And as we go through this, you'll see why I still felt like this would be a good deck to go through because it's so similar. There are also, as you can see, keywords on here. I have mixed feelings about keywords. And part of that is because sometimes my definition may be different than the keyword that's listed on there. So when doing readings for others, that can sometimes confuse things if you have a different interpretation than they do. And then it kind of limits things. Your brain automatically goes to the definition that's listed here. It makes it a little harder to just focus completely on your intuition and what's going on in here. But it's also really good for beginners that really don't want to spend a lot of time learning the traditional meanings and are comfortable just going off of the one word here. Then that can be a plus also. I definitely feel when I look at these cards, there's a sense of energy that I don't get in a lot of decks. And I hearken it almost to when you go to a place that feels very spiritual, how you can feel it in the air. That's the feeling I get. Sorry, there's a loud motorcycle going by. That's the feeling I get when I'm using this deck. There's just a special kind of energy about this deck. And this deck has actually been out. This is John Holland's deck, and it's been out since the copyright is 2007, and you can find this through Hay House. And since this is a recent addition to my collection, it is still available. I'll put a link, as I do in all my videos, I'll put a link below that will take you to this deck if you wish to buy it. The wish card. So as you can see as I'm going through these, very much in line with your standard Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And I meant to mention earlier, but as you can see as we're going through this, this card definitely scores an A on the racial diversity scorecard. There's a lot of different cultures and races represented here. There you go. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next time around. Thanks for stopping by.